All right.
final statement.
All right. During this school year, we have discovered many themes, but one theme that stood out to me the most from this year's literature class was the theme love. We experienced love in almost all the books we read this year, but the two books that had this theme the most were Love Does and Everybody Always, both written by the famous author Bob Goff. Both of these books gave me some valuable lessons, and one of my favorite parts in Everybody Always was when Goff mentioned that we should all start treating people equally and talk behind someone's back in a positive way instead of a negative way. And that most of us know that we usually talk behind somebody's back in a negative way. And I think God wants us to change that with all the hate and violence going on in the world right now. I mean, there's other places that have it worse than us, and we could just do it a little bit better because we're the best country.
Okay, Sam, I don't know if you can hear me, but you have frozen up.
Yeah. Am I good now?
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Give me a thumbs up if you could hear Sam, or a thumbs down if he was frozen. Okay. So Sam, go back maybe a few sentences.
Okay. Yeah, so can I go now? Can I go again?
Yeah, I can hear you now, yes.
Ready? Yeah, one of my favorite parts in Everybody Always was when Goff mentioned that we should all start treating people equally and talk behind someone's back in a positive way instead of a negative way, because we usually talk behind someone's back in a negative way to people, and that makes them not want to be with you. But I think we should start talking behind people's backs and make comments about people in a positive way, just so we can get closer to God. That's what God wants, and I think we should do that more, just because we're in a world filled. There's places worse that have it worse than us, other countries, and I think we could do a little bit better ourselves. I really like Love Does, mostly because of all the one-liners and NTMs I got from reading it, and there's a couple that stood out to me that I thought I should include in this journal. One NTM I thought stood out was, I used to think God guided us by opening and closing down doors, but now I know sometimes God wants us to knock some doors down. And this really struck me because I've always seen to rely on God to help me get through stuff. But when things aren't working, I wonder if he is really just trying to tell me to keep pushing through life and just know that the time will come. He doesn't want us to give up. He wants us to fight for ourselves and fight for him and show that we love him. And I think everybody should know this about the Lord and start taking it seriously, and don't get all upset when God isn't answering your prayers right away, because he always has a plan for each one of us. Okay. I need to go down a paragraph. All right. Another MTM I really like from Love Does was, I used to want to fix people, but now I just want to be with them. This is one of my favorites because you can't fix people. You have to love them for who they are, even if they are not perfect or just like you. Maybe they enjoy doing different things than you do, but as long as they are nice people, we should always join them. That's what God wants from all of us, is to get closer to people, even if they aren't like us, because we all need friends, and we could always use somebody for support or whatever they may need. God makes everybody differently, and he made us all so we could get along with everybody in the world and not hate. I know there's a lot of hatred in this world, and I try my best to make a difference and love people for who they really are as a person. Additionally, we watched a movie about Bob Goff, and it was in my top 5 movies that I've ever watched. I'm not a big movie person, so that means a lot when I say that it's in my top 5 movies of all time. He demonstrated a lot of ways to be kind to people in different ways, like giving them a hug or just reaching out to them and asking how their day has been. We've been taught in this class before about going the extra mile. And I think that's what Bob Goff is trying to tell us. And both Everybody Always and Love Does, that we should always go the extra mile for somebody. Even if we aren't close to them, we should always just, and it would make them closer to us. And, we would get closer to them too. In conclusion, love is very important. We must all love first and foremost for God to receive our prayers, because he wants us to love everybody with a full heart. And if we do that, God will show out all his love he has for us. Like I said, God's love might not come right away, but we all have to know that God has us strapped down in his heart, and he won't let us suffer to the point where we give up. I think the theme love has to be one of the top 3 things we have covered this year. And I think I have done a great job of showing love towards my teachers, classmates, friends, and family.
Sam, great job. Snap him out. Super job.